So Battlefield 2042 Season 1 has come and slapped this game with, well, maybe didn't slap it, maybe get a little pin prick, something like that. But I want to talk about, did it make Battlefield 2042 good? Is 2042 a good game now? I don't know, we're gonna find out. So let's talk about it. Now without further ado, remember if you do enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave it a nice, thick, and juicy like as always. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, you want more like it, be sure to hit that big red sexy subscribe button right underneath the video. Also gotta thank my channel members, you guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, be sure to check out that blue join button. Anyway, let's begin. So is 2042 good now? Kinda, depends what kind of experience you're going for. So there's a few things I want to go over. First of all, new content is pretty good. It's light, very light. I'm talking literally one map and two weapons. One weapon, one could argue they just kind of changed up a weapon from Portal and threw it in there, and the other is a meme weapon, which isn't really something a lot of people are going to be running as their primary and investing a lot of time into. But regardless, they are pretty fun. The BVS, I think it's called the BV, I don't know. It's pretty darn good. Now, a lot of people are saying it's OP. I don't really think it is, at least quite yet. That will depend on a few things, but again, I will get more into that as we go on. Overall, though, I wasn't super impressed by the map at first, playing it on the 128 player only mode. I was just kind of like, it's like all the other maps where it's a lot of open ground, and then there's a couple really fun areas, and you gotta run 5 miles to get to them, and you're usually dead by the time you get there, and that can be quite a struggle. And don't get me wrong, the tunnels on Exposure are fantastic. I love fighting in those tunnels, and some of the areas down at the bottom or some of the bases at the top, it can be some pretty fun action. It's just, again, like the other maps, it's a little too spread out for my taste. That being said, on Breakthrough, this map absolutely slaps. Honestly, if they did a 64-player Conquest Breakthrough rotation, I would play that 24/7. That is a darn fun way to play this map. That's all I have to say. I wish we had more maps like this. Now, that being said, if they did delete all the base 2042 maps, which they won't do, but if they did and just gave us the Exodus Conquest with Exposure and the Portal maps that are in there, I'd be fine with that. I would look forward to booting up 2042. Unfortunately, that's not gonna happen. A man can dream, but it ain't gonna happen. Now, moving on. Talk about the weapons. BVS, VSS, the suppressed assault rifle DMR SMG gun. It is quite strong, not gonna lie. As you can see in the footage, it's quite a beast. Now, the thing is, I wouldn't be too upset with it if it was just a very versatile gun. The thing is you can set it up in such a way that it literally outclasses certain guns in their own classes. So for example, the K30, it's got about a 1200 rate of fire if you use the standard issue mags, and it gets a little bit lower whenever you put on the high power magazines. That's just one of the trade-offs for it. If you took the subsonic rounds with the BVS and you put it on the short barrel in automatic mode, you will get about a 1200 rate of fire, and that is a bit much, especially when with the high power rounds it's a 3-shot kill at 150 meters, especially on a gun with very little recoil. It's very hard to not grab that weapon and go into battle when it will literally outclass just about every other weapon. Now, I will say in an assault rifle setup, it's about like an M5A3. In a DMR setup, I would say you're still gonna have a better time with the DM7, so okay, kind of iffy here and there. And with the SMG setup, again, it's kind of competing with the K30, which I think is a little bit too much. But I think a slight damage, at least with some of the damage drop off, would probably be something that would kind of put it in its place. Because again, the versatility is fine. I like that. I think it adds a uniqueness to the weapon, that it can be set up in such drastic ways. But the fact that it can be the top of the class in each of the ways it can be set up does feel like it is a little bit much. So anyway, I do enjoy playing with it. I do think some of the OP feeling with it is because the hit reg, at least in my opinion, since the patch has been just atrocious. A lot of people that I've seen are saying that the game feels a lot better, but I've also seen just as many people, if not more, saying that the hit reg has definitely taken a massive step backwards since the recent patch. At first I thought it was 128 players, but even playing on 64, there's definitely issues with it. There's also things like super bullets and whatnot going on I think are also affecting people's experience. And I think the BVS is becoming kind of a victim of what the PP29 was at launch, where it's strong, but it's more so because it's the only gun that actually gets decent hit reg. Because, you know, I was lighting up servers with the SFAR before the patch, and now after the patch I can barely get 15-20 kills with that thing in a round, and then I can just grab the BVS and it feels like I can hit all the targets I would normally hit just fine. So I don't know if it's just that kind of a thing or if it really is just that OP. I would like to see it patched again before they do nerf it, just to see how it stacks up that way, but likely it's getting nerfed sometime soon. After that is the crossbow. It's a crossbow. I don't know what else to really say about it. It's a crossbow. You can headshot people and got explosive bolts, and it's a crossbow. So, yay. Now, overall, there's mixed feelings for me on this patch. I've seen a lot of people chugging the copium and saying that this map, even though it's the only map we got, it's the best map we've gotten in decades. Okay, maybe not quite that far, but they are going quite far with their opinions on exposure. And while, again, I like exposure, it's really fun in some of the high action parts of the map, I don't think it's the best map we've gotten in a decade. More reasonable people have said since BF1, and I can kind of say I think BF5 had some pretty good maps, though. Everyone seems to forget that Arras was like the fan favorite map. When everyone voted on it at the start of BF5's life cycle, it beat out even like BF1 and BF4 maps. I'm not saying that couldn't have been because of recency bias, I don't know, but BF5 did have some pretty decent maps despite some pretty poor mechanics in the game, and we do see that somewhat with 2042 and this iteration of exposure. Sure, it's a fun map, but really the best way to enjoy it is with someone like McKay or Sundance, and sure, the new specialist Liz, she's got that TV missile. You can fly around and make up some of that distance using that thing, but other than that, a lot of the gameplay mechanics are quite shallow, and specialists, I think you can kind of see some of the issues with them on this map. Sundance has already been nerfed with her scatter grenades because there's so much explosive spam inside of those tunnels. As fun as they were and how many metro style pushes you can make, it was a bit OP to just chuck a couple nades down there and get a few kills. It was very strong and there was tons of explosive spam. Throw on top of that the basically non-existent skill ceiling for helicopters and the transport AC-130s that are disguised as transports that roam around with 50mm cannons, annihilating the entire enemy team that take almost zero brain power to actually fly around and get kills with. It makes it quite a, oh crap, I just died to another boom that I couldn't have done anything about kind of gameplay loop. Not saying that happens all constantly. You can move around and breathe a little bit, but it does happen quite a lot to where I can see a lot of players getting really annoyed with it. And I do feel like a lot of those kills are unearned, and that's why I think rightfully Sundance got a little bit of a nerf, even though I think they nerfed her ability to fly a little bit too much just before this patch. I don't know. We'll see how the Sundance change is affected and how that affects gameplay. I would like to see something done with the transport cannons. It's just a little bit too much with the high splash damage stuff on every single vehicle out there. Throw in the new stealth choppers, and you know, people are already going crazy with those because it can bomb while it's in stealth mode. Seems like a very odd thing to do. You'd think stealth mode would just be kind of like the counter to not being in attack mode, but I guess they felt like you'd be in stealth mode so long because there's so many nav and rouse and AA missiles out there. But just throwing that out there, I would assume that would mean that you wouldn't have giant bombs you can drop on people. It is what it is. So far though, I'm enjoying the patch for what it is. I think at this point of 2042's life, you just kind of have to accept that it's kind of a dumb time. Not saying that you're dumb if you play it, maybe. I know I am. I've put way too much time in this game. But it's just kind of dumb fun from time to time. You really cannot play it and take it too seriously. If you're worried about your stats, honestly, who cares? This game is not a game to where the stats really mean anything. If you're someone who wants to go in and play super sweaty, that's great. If you want to go and just farm in vehicles, whatever. If you just want to run around and die 100 times, it's kind of whatever, which I'm normally all for in Battlefield, but usually there's a bit of a skill gap to it, to where if you did want to play sweaty, you can, and you can do well because of that. If you just want to be an idiot and meme around, you can do that, and there's still some level of skill to memeing around. And this game just doesn't have that, so I just view it as some random dumb fun to jump on and just genuinely do not take it seriously, because you're just going to get very pissed off at the game. It is basically designed for that. So anyway, let me know how you guys feel about Season 1 down below. Like I said, I'm enjoying it for what it is. It's not the greatest DLC we've ever gotten, and honestly, I didn't expect much more than this based on the launch of this game. Do I think it's acceptable? No. And if the rumors of a skeleton crew are true, that sucks. But let me know, and we'll continue the discussion down below. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video.